Well, one of the things that I think is the clear message for Democrats and for Republicans at this point is making sure to get out the vote, that the race is close, especially in a state like Iowa, and that you have to assume that until you're declared the winner, you need to be hustling out there, hustling for votes and making sure that people get out, they vote early if they can, so that just in case they miss Election Day, their vote gets counted. So I think that was one of the clear messages at the rally today with Senator Kaine, and it's also one of the key things you're hearing on the campaign trail, no matter what, no matter who you're talking about, whether it's Mike Pence or it's Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton themselves. It's all about getting people out to turn out to vote, and not necessarily just focus on the polls, but actually turning that into action, going and voting.
How important it is to be active and participate in the democratic process and eventually to vote. It's very important.
Yeah. I think the most amazing thing is why people would even consider voting for somebody other than Hillary. Her opponent claims to be a businessman, but he's been bankrupt numerous times. You can't run the presidency or the Oval Office like you do a CEO. You just can't go up to 435 members of Congress, that you disagree with, and say, "You're fired, buddy." Come on, get real.
Okay. And how do you feel about the tightening in this race? You know, a lot of national polls have it as Clinton and Trump being deadlocked. Are you concerned?
We're very concerned, but mostly surprised that it's even close, because Hillary has all kinds of great experience and she's well qualified for the position, whereas her opponent certainly is not.
It's very interesting because it's actually the first election that I can vote in. I was 17, I think, last time the election came around, and it's a crazy time to be able to vote, and it's the tenor, I guess. There's a lot of attacking, and it's more of a negative campaign on both sides than I've seen before, but I think for the most part Hillary has kept it the most positive, and she stands for the things that I think that our country needs.
Which is?
Some of the issues I mentioned before, like gay rights, there's reproductive rights, there's equal pay for women. I mean, it's really hard in the spot, but there's so many things, and everything that I think is important, she stands for.
All right. And then how do you feel about how closely this race has gotten, or how it's tightened?
I think it's a little scary, because I can see that this could go poorly if the wrong person's elected. It's very nerve-wracking, but I have hope that people will vote the best way for America.
Well, I think one of the things you're going to see is ultimately a test of whether or not how big a role enthusiasm is playing. So one thing to think about when it comes to actually turning people's preferences into action, one of the things is about motivation and enthusiasm. So how enthusiastic or motivated are voters? And it seems to be in this election cycle, especially in Iowa, there might be different levels of enthusiasm or motivation. So when you look at things like size of rally or intensity of people's support for candidates, it'll be a really interesting election to see whether or not in the end people's actions when they vote are reflective of that enthusiasm or lack of enthusiasm. So I think that campaign stops like this by Senator Kaine are intended to gin up that enthusiasm for the candidate and provide motivation. And one other thing too I think you saw in this event was the notion of tying the multiple Democratic candidates and the need for Democratic supporters to go out and vote for them come November 8th or in early voting. So the notion of from the top of the ticket to the bottom of the ticket to pursue Democratic candidates. So I think that was one thing you saw Senator Kaine talk about.
Okay.